Imagine carrying a weight no one else can see, a guilt that silently suffocates you every night. You wonder, would God still forgive me after this? King Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, grew up witnessing exactly that. His father, the great King David, struggling under the crushing weight of a hidden sin. Solomon saw how David felt broken inside, until he understood something profound. Repentance isn't just feeling guilty, it's finding the way back to God's heart. Maybe you've cried over something you did, promised not to make the same mistake again, but somehow you keep going back to it. That kind of true repentance, the kind that actually changes your life, feels out of reach. But Solomon discovered clear and powerful steps you can follow. In this video, I'll reveal the 5 steps Solomon left behind as a legacy to guide us to genuine repentance, the kind that truly sets you free. Because no matter how far you've gone, there is always a way back to grace. And Solomon can show you how to find it. Solomon grew up witnessing firsthand what true repentance looks like. His father, King David, fell hard. He committed adultery, lied, and plotted the death of an innocent man. But what left a mark on Solomon wasn't just the sin, it was what came afterward. The sincere repentance that restored David's soul. That story shaped Solomon's understanding of forgiveness. He learned that repentance isn't just about feeling guilty, it's about being broken before God with humility. That's why, in his Proverbs, he reveals the path: confession, reverence, wisdom, turning away from wrongdoing, and a constant fear of the Lord. What Solomon saw in his father's life, he turned into timeless wisdom. And now you can follow that same path. Step 1. Acknowledge with honesty. The first step, according to Solomon's wisdom, is to stop hiding. He wrote, "Whoever conceals their sins does not prosper, but the one who confesses and renounces them finds mercy." Proverbs 28:13. This sentence is short but powerful. It shows us that true repentance begins where denial ends. As long as you try to downplay the mistake, justify what you did, or shift the blame to others, true forgiveness remains out of reach. Solomon doesn't just say to confess, he links confession with turning away. Because God isn't moved by pretty words, but by a heart that honestly admits its failure without hiding. Acknowledging with honesty isn't about self-punishment. It's about stepping out of the darkness. It's the moment you stop fighting against God and say, "It was me, I sinned, and I need your mercy." This is where all life-changing repentance begins. Without it, nothing changes. With it, everything starts to change. Step 2. Fear the Lord, not the punishment. Solomon reminds us that true repentance doesn't come from fear of punishment, but from a reverent fear of God himself. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Proverbs 9:10. Fearing God doesn't mean running from him in terror. It means recognizing him as sovereign, as just as someone who cannot be deceived by appearances or words. When repentance is born only out of fear of consequences, it's shallow and temporary. When it comes from the sincere fear of having hurt the heart of God, it's deep and genuine. That's what David understood, and what Solomon learned. It's not about fear of hell, it's about sorrow for having turned away from the one who is holy. The fear of the Lord crushes pride and makes room for transformation. Because when you truly fear him, you stop playing with sin and start taking holiness seriously. Without that fear, all repentance becomes a performance. But with it, every tear carries eternal weight. Step 3. Ask for wisdom to change. Solomon knew that recognizing your sin and fearing God were just the beginning. Real transformation requires wisdom, not just emotion. That's why when he took the throne, his first prayer wasn't for victories, riches, or glory. He asked for something deeper. So give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. 1 Kings 3:9. That request reveals a crucial truth. Wisdom is what keeps us from falling into the same mistakes again. Many people cry today and repeat the sin tomorrow because they never ask for the wisdom to understand their weaknesses and avoid them. True repentance leads you to pray like Solomon. Lord, teach me not to fall again. Show me where I'm blind. Give me discernment to choose what's right, even when it hurts. God's forgiveness is instant, but a changed life requires a new perspective. And that's what wisdom is. seeing with God's eyes what you used to see only through emotion. Without it, repentance won't last. Step 4. Abandon sin in a practical way. Solomon makes it clear that repentance isn't proven with words but with actions. He wrote, "The wise fear the Lord and shun evil, but a fool is hot-headed and yet feels secure." Proverbs 14:16. In other words, someone who truly understands the weight of their sin doesn't play with it anymore. They don't rationalize it, they don't downplay it, and they don't put themselves in risky situations hoping they won't fall. They avoid it. They walk away. They close doors, change routines, block access, and break cycles. Repentance without change is just regret. And regret might bring momentary relief, but it traps you forever. True repentance might hurt at first. It requires sacrifice, firm choices, but it's the only path that leads to freedom. Solomon shows us that wisdom means running from what destroys you, even if it looks harmless. The fool, on the other hand, thinks they can manage sin. But they can't. Sin is like fire. If you stay close long enough, it will burn you. Letting go of sin is hard, but holding on to it is deadly. And God only fully forgives when your surrender is complete. Step 5. Live with ongoing humility. True repentance isn't a one-time event. It's a new way of walking through life. Solomon ends his most profound book, Ecclesiastes, with one of the most powerful statements in the entire Bible. Now all has been heard. Here's the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. Ecclesiastes 12:13. After living it all, experiencing it all, failing, drifting, and reflecting on life, Solomon realized that real repentance isn't limited to an emotional moment. It becomes a life of humility, consistency, and surrender. It means waking up each day knowing you need grace, that you're not strong enough without God. That forgiveness is daily, but so is the call to a new posture, to walk in reverence, in truth, and in dependence on the Lord. Ongoing humility means recognizing, today I still need to remember who I am without Him, and choose once again to walk with Him. That's the kind of repentance that lasts. That's the kind of heart God will never turn away. The wisest man who ever lived understood a truth that many overlook. True repentance doesn't begin with a feeling. It begins with surrender. Solomon showed us that recognizing sin, fearing God, seeking wisdom, turning from sin, and living with humility are the steps of a heart that longs for more than forgiveness. It longs for transformation. And the good news is, God forgives those who truly turn to Him. Today, that path is in front of you. All He's waiting for is sincerity.